Hey, it is 9 minutes past 10 o'clock, not except if you're in WA.
Yes.
And in fact, specifically in Albany, where the local time in Albany, I believe, is 1987. No, that's not fair. It's 9 minutes past 8 o'clock, and we're going to say good day to Kate Mitchell. Hello, Kate.
Hi, how are we both?
Better than you. Hey, I tell you what, before we get started, can I just play something? Is that all right?
Yeah, go for it.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, everybody. Happy birthday to you.
I think it was someone's birthday yesterday.
It was, and I was just saying though before, my birthday present was a bout of gastro.
Oh, nice.
Going through the family. So that's
Literally going through the family.
Yeah, literally.
Well, that's a bit sad. Apart from that, did you get anything nice for your birthday?
I did. I was very spoiled. I had some deliveries from the kids, which was good. But other than that, it was pretty quiet.
Now, when you say delivery from the kids, you had gastro in the family. Not that sort of delivery from the kids.
No.
No, that's all right then. Now, 10 minutes past 8 o'clock for you. Thank you for getting up early. It could have been worse. I could have asked you next Saturday when it would have been 10 past 7, but that's okay. Rob is ignorant of what the Darcy effect is. All I know about the Darcy effect is there was a very handsome young man wearing a Darcy effect shirt in Gurugram in India the other day. I saw in a photograph. What on earth is the Darcy effect?
He was, but then it got swapped for a Brisbane Lion.
Yeah, I have a very limited wardrobe, you understand?
His priorities, yeah. So the Darcy Effect was a project that I started in 2022 in September after our youngest son, Darcy, had a seizure on our family farm. So at that particular time, we didn't know what had happened to Darcy, and I had to give him CPR on our farmhouse floor, which I would never wish upon anyone. And it was during COVID, so I was stuck in hospital for over a year and a half, which felt like weekly, so three days at a time. And I love a chat, I love talking, and I had no one that could talk to me or wanted to talk to me in all their protective equipment. And so I kind of had to think about what I was seeing and what I could do to make a difference to our experience that we were having. And so we created the Darcy Effect. So we do lots of little fun projects.
Well, the motivation was your experience not wanting to wish it on others, or what was your drive?
Yeah, I think from sitting back and watching what was happening, some of the conversations and some of the things that I was seeing were really concerning. So when I was out of hospital, a lot of people would ask how I knew what to do. So how I knew, and I was like, what do you mean? And like, how did you know how to give CPR on Darcy? And I've been a health and phys ed teacher now for 15 years, and so we're really fortunate that we do that yearly, and even when we take kids away for outdoor ed camps, we need to be skilled. And so without that ability, I don't think that our story would have had such a happy ending. Then the nurses, we make these hospital bags. We create hospital bags with toiletries and a game and a book, and all little different bits and bobs in there in case families need to be flown out by the RFDS. But in that particular time, I was noticing that nurses were bringing in things that they had purchased off Amazon, and obviously they do such an incredible job in their role that surely there was a way that we could make a difference. Or just when you're coming in from the farm and you've travelled 100 Ks and it's a very highly stressful situation, what could we do to just help? For me, I was in the sheep yard. I smelt like sheep when we...
Oh, that's a relief. That's not what I thought you were going to say. It smelt like sheep.
May I say, what a beautiful smell that is, in all seriousness, Kate.
Delightful.
I love it.
And we all know that when things are going terribly wrong, sometimes a hot shower, washing your hair and having a cup of tea can just make you feel that little bit better. So, yeah, it was just kind of from watching what was happening around me, the conversations that I was having, and trying to find those gaps that we could help fill.
Now, we do just need to fill out a couple of things you said there. Amazon or any other online retailer. Of course, we can't favour anyone on this, so we just need to say that. And RFDS, of course, the Royal Flying Doctor Service, which, just to paint the picture for people, the farm, as I recall, is about, 80 or 90 Ks out of Albany, is that right?
Yeah, it was roughly 55.
Oh, 55, there you go.
Albany, Denmark, and Mount Barker. And so we're heavily reliant on the RFDS, especially just in terms of resources. So we don't have a helicopter, so we find a lot of time over the east, everyone's like, oh, do you have the chopper? But because of the distances that they're travelling, we're really reliant on the planes.
So for those people who are in the city by the bay here in Geelong, who may have to jump in the car and drive 5 minutes to get to some pretty handy health services here. You had to get from, in terms of drawing the picture, from your farm to Albany is 55 k's. Albany to Perth's what, 4 or 5 hours drive?
Yeah.
So you're a long way away from home. So it's not a case of getting into hospital with young Darcy and then ringing Matt, I'm right in saying, isn't it?
Yeah.
And saying, can you whistle in and bring in a teddy bear and a box of Tim Tams? We're seriously isolated, and with COVID on top of that, that just tops the whole thing off.
Yeah, it was really interesting. It was definitely a time in which you want that support, and I think you're so lucky to be able to have people come in and visit where, it's a life-changing event that was occurring, and we just really didn't have it. It was just Darcy and I in hospital. So I kind of had to follow the mantra of when I teach the kids of feel it, think it, flip it. So I had to feel all of those emotions, then I had to think about what was happening, and then I had to flip them. And it was really tricky. Like, even when we were flown to Perth, I remember we were flown to Perth, taken by ambulance to PCH, and then I had a different wristband on. And I remember Matt driving with the other kids up, and they wouldn't let Matt into PCH to give me my bag with all my clothes. He had to give it to the security guard, and the security guard, flung it across the floor to me, slid it. And in that point of time, you've had lack of sleep, it's been 2 days, you've had all the tests, you don't know what's happening, everything is chaotic, and you just want a hug, and you couldn't even have a hug. It was a bit rough.
And if you've got a 14-year-old who needs to be flown out because they've broken their leg, apart from the medication that they're on to, dull the pain, you can at least have a conversation. Having a conversation with an 18-month-old, is that about right?
Yeah, he hated it. He slept because of the drug, so he had a huge seizure before we were flown, and so those anti-seizure medications will just wear them out, so they won't wake up for about 5 hours. And then we put him in the plane and decided it was time to party. He just screamed the whole way. There was an old lady from Esperance that was put on before us, and she would have hated the trip. He wasn't very delightful.
So I'm just trying to paint the picture of isolation here. In Victoria, in Geelong, we're 15 minutes from anything. Where you are, you are literally in the middle of nowhere, and then taken to a capital city 5 hours drive away by yourself with a screaming kid. It's not a pretty picture.
No, it's definitely tricky. And, when we think we're really lucky that where we are, we do have a regional hospital with resources. And where I grew up in Hyden, which is Wave Rock, it's halfway in between Perth and Esperance, under that Monash model of healthcare, that's a number 7, so that's really remote. They particularly at one point didn't have a doctor in Condinnon, which is 60 k's away from Hyden. And I was on a farm 55 k's out of Hyden. So you look at that, the closest hospital, you were looking at over 100 k's to get any medical support, depending on whether the silver chain was staffed or not in the town. So, the space here and that isolation is huge in WA in comparison to what you guys probably experience over there.
Good thing is, though, you were number 7 there, but yesterday, your health issues, you were all number 2s, weren't you?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I've been waiting to just get that one in at some stage, but well played for throwing number 7 in.
Kate, I'm just trying to get my head around it because we still have conversations about COVID, and a lot of people still think that it didn't exist and it was overplayed, all that sort of stuff. But in that circumstance, when you're in the middle of COVID, you've got all that pressure, you're desperately trying to keep your child alive, and you've got the COVID protocols, you've touched on them. How stressful was that for you to have to really calm down, be patient and understanding of the environment you're in while still being panicky on the inside about the welfare of your child?
Yeah, I think that was, how the Darcy effect kind of came about, because I had to either sink or swim. And so looking back and reflecting, if COVID wasn't around, I probably wouldn't have had that ability to be aware of what was occurring around me. It was really difficult. And I think in the time when you're in it, it's exhausting and you think you're okay. But if I'm going to be brutally honest, I've probably felt the effects of that more so now. And now rather than then, because I was living it. And I think when you look back, everyone's like, oh, that's a pretty traumatic experience. And you're kind of like, oh, yeah, but he didn't die. So I think you just change your level of thinking and your new level of normal. But it definitely would have had a toll, I think. But as I said, without that COVID experience, I wouldn't have been so acutely aware of what was happening around me, I don't think, because I would have been distracted by people visiting and having the support network that you probably require. Yeah.
The other thing that, and I've had first-hand experience of having some health training in circumstances, it's the old standard first aid, and then all of a sudden you're in a life situation. Your training, you obviously have a lot of it, you said, but how quickly were you able to go back to your learning, or were you in a little bit panicky state at the start still, despite the fact that you, over and above many people around you, were actually qualified to deal with the circumstance?
I think I asked Harry, so the boys they were jumping on the bed, and I actually thought at one point they were actually just trying to get our new kitten out from underneath the bed. And Harry, who was 3, who's our middle child, said, "Mum, come look at Darcy." And so I went straight away, which is sometimes you don't, especially if they're being rat bags. Like you can't be like, "I'll be there in a minute." And I found Darcy blue frothing underneath the window. So I quickly asked Harry what had happened, and he couldn't tell me. And I was like, okay. So I scooped him up, and then I put him into the kitchen, and then I started CPR. Then I thought maybe particularly that he might have choked on something, but I had mopped and vacuumed the floors the day before. So I'm pretty strict with what was around and what they would be able to play with. So I knew it was a bit of a low possibility. So I rolled him over, gave multiple black blows, nothing happened, rolled him back over and started CPR again. I think I was pretty calm. I kind of went into this zone because I had no choice. It was either that or he was going to die. So I think I kind of just jumped in and did what I had to do. So it's all a bit of a blur. I can remember it step by step, but I also think I just did what needed to be done.
So we often hear of people either making mistakes or going through a traumatic event or whatever, and people say it's not how you behave in the moment, it's how you respond. And whilst you've obviously behaved in the moment brilliantly, it's how you've responded that I think is quite extraordinary by developing the Darcy effect, because there are things that you are doing that it's all very well to, focus everything on your family, and so you should have. But to actually then say, now let's make this better for other people who might have to go through the same thing, I just think it's phenomenon, it's really, really good. So tell us some of the things that you are doing. You talked about hospital bags, first aid training, this sort of stuff, and how people can help support you to do that.
Yeah, so since 2022, we've done some really cool things. So we would have sent out 1,000 hospital bags Australia-wide. We've raised over $22,000 for Epilepsy WA, 10 for the RFDS. We've actually built a playground, or in the process of building a playground at our local regional hospital here. So we've raised over $29,000 to buy a 7.5 Jarrah metre submarine to create a playground here for our region, which is super exciting because there's not much there. So all the kids around town know me as the submarine lady. We've also, very, very exciting, created a first aid animation. So the first aid animation is a pilot. It's called Fangs on the Farm, and it's relatable and relevant content for country kids, predominantly made by regional women, mind you. So Beck Bignell, who was from Coconut, from Cockatoo Collab and Rural Room, which some people may know about. I'm obviously from down here. Our animator, Ricky, from the editors, although she lives in Sydney, is a Margaret River girl, and Kate Russer is from a cotton farm in New South Wales. So it's been a really exciting project, and with that will become educational resources that are for our country kids. So we've been ticking away in the background working on that project. But we obviously are very grateful for any partnerships or business sponsorship that we may receive. On our website, we also have merchandise that people can purchase, and we also have a GoFundMe as well. But the Darcy effect's growing and progressing far more than what I ever imagined, and so we're trying to keep up, but really it's a little project of me in my lounge room with a lot of very generous people that help me out along the way.
Kate, how's Darcy going?
Darcy's pretty good. So we've just made, on the 9th of September, we've made it to a year without any seizures, and so we will have a review. A lot of people will say, will he grow out of it? A lot of kids grow out of it, and that can be true, but he's got 3 abnormalities in his brain. But whether they're true or not, we're unsure. We just kind of need to watch this space. Generally, after 2 years, they'll start to wean their medication and see how they go. So we've still got a little bit of a way to go. But he is one cheeky, delightful third child that will give you a run for your money.
That's good. And your parenting skills are instinctively on high alert. Are you on more high alert around him now?
Yeah, and I think that's what I was alluding to before. I think a lot of the time I told myself that it was okay and it wasn't traumatic because he didn't die. But I think I've had to take a step back probably in the last 6 months and have a look about how what I'm doing for myself and how I'm looking after myself. And so that's just making sure that I take some time out and get some good sleep. But yeah, I think definitely you won't be able to take that away. I think that you know how quickly they can happen, and they can happen anywhere, anytime. So not that, well, his last seizure, he was climbing on the monkey bars, up this rope thing, and then fell. And so I think you're always alert, probably more so than some, but that's just a new reality that we have to deal with.
Rumour has it that there's a submarine in town as well. You want to keep him off that.
Yeah, yeah, potentially.
And I also believe that you own a cow.
Oh, I do, yes. So Great Southern Grammar School that I worked at, they had some actual real cows, but they also had a fiberglass cow. And so Bess was kindly given to me, and she will make the trip to Perth for the animation launch. So on the 9th of November, we'll be launching the animation at the Perth Zoo, so everybody is welcome. And then it will be available for everyone to watch on social media through our website and YouTube. But yeah, Bess will be coming from Albany to Perth doing a bit of a trip to the zoo. Don't know how she'll fit in.
You know that people are going to be driving along the highway and they'll go past a car that's got a trailer on the back with a fiberglass cow tied to it, and they'll be thinking, look at that poor lady. She thinks her cow is real and she's taking it for a walk.
Well, sometimes we put her in the garage. We keep her in the garage. She's in the house at the moment, but in the garage. And you see when people come down the cul-de-sac for a drive and then the car just reverses to look at it. I think they are all a bit shocked that she sits in there.
Excellent. Now, these days you are not living on a farm, as I understand it. You are now living in the city of Albany.
Yeah, that's right. So he was having 2 seizures a day and it just became very stressful. So I think it goes back to making those choices to obviously make sure that everybody is happy and healthy. And so although we miss the farm dearly and he asked to go back every day, we're in town. So we've moved into town and we have 3 short stay accommodation units along the beach, which are very nice, that keep us busy as well.
Excellent. Well, Kate, it is an amazing thing you are doing, and as you say, you wouldn't wish this upon anybody, but I would have thought it would have been pretty easy after the event to say, you know what, we're going to pull ourselves in as a family, we're going to look after Darcy and the other kids as well. And but you haven't. You've gone out and you've really set the pace in terms of getting stuff done. If people want to help financially or send you a nice message or whatever, how's the best way to get in touch?
Yeah, so on our website, so we've got www.thedarcyeffect.com.au. That has all of our contact details on there. And obviously, I would love to hear from anyone. That would be great.
Now, it's the Darcy Effect, isn't it? Not just Darcy Effect.
Yeah, the Darcy.
And it's easy because I've just done it.
And if Rob can find it, that's saying something. Because, technologically he struggles a little bit.
I do struggle, but there it is right in front of me. Community Connect Change. I love it.
Yep. So a great story with a happy ending. And great stuff that you're doing for other people. Please, folks, if you've got a few bucks that you want to throw in that direction, Kate would love your support. If you want to know more about Kate and you want to know more about her part of the world and you want to know more about the Darcy Effect, there is a podcast, Rob, called The Regional 250. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. Yeah. Episode 86 featured Kate in her days living on the farm. So there's another way you can hear more about the story if you want to hear it audibly, not just read about it on the website.
Orderly. I like it.
You like that?
Kate, thank you so much. Extraordinary story, great courage and commitment. And I'm just thinking about how you must have been in some sort of weird world to be motherly instincts, a bit of panic, and yet this incredible control. And you have the joy of your little boy every day.
Thank you so much. Hopefully I didn't confuse you even more, Rob, with what it is, because there's just so many different...
No, it's good. It was good. I'm really pleased I started from zero, and hopefully the listeners will have also started from zero and now are well aware of the important work that you do.
Crazy.
Oh, there he is. He's yelling out in the background. We'll let you go, Kate. Thanks for being part of the show.
Thanks so much. Bye.
All the best.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Kate Mitchell there from Albany with a remarkable story.
It is. That's incredible. That's resilience.
And thankfully, some of those organisations, like a very large telecommunication company who have regional women awards and stuff, have nominated her and have recognised her excellent work. Because whilst, yeah, okay, it's nice to get the $5,000 or whatever, it's about getting the message out there that these people, and we've got them not very far from here, people who live remotely from health services, we just go, yeah, just go to Geelong Hospital or we'll nip up to the, Medicare clinic or whatever. When you're stuck out there and you've got a kid who is literally dying,
Yeah.
what do you do?
It's amazing. And by the size of Western Australia, that even the 5 hours you talked about, other places would be even a hell of a lot worse.